Hello, welcome to another session on the short stories, Excellence in Another Story. And specifically, our focus today is on the short story Neighbourhood Watch by Remy Nganije. As we prepare for paper 3, we need to know some of the details in this story. I'll guide you through the details. I wish to first share the questions that probably would come on the story. Then, what are these details that we would bring out in case you're asked a question on Neighbourhood Watch? What are these memorable details that we could pay attention to? Somebody could ask you, people living on the streets apply wisdom to survive. Support that with illustration. Or it could simply be write an essay highlighting the challenges that people living on the streets face in their daily lives as they try to survive. How do we go about that? Another one could be street life is not for the faint-hearted, and you're told to justify that or validate or support it with illustrations from the text. So this is something we should be able to do, but let's go straight to the text. At the beginning of the text, we meet the members of this I would call it a street family of people living on this. They're not exactly a family, but they are friends. We have Elias, we have Lazarus, we have Omagano, the only girl in the team. We have Silas and Martin. And of course, there's somebody called Amos we'll mention later in the story. He was a member, but then again, is not there anymore. Now, what are the challenges we are identifying about these people? Number one, they lack the basics in life. We are told on page 75 when the story begins that Elias is the one who wakes everyone up. And for breakfast, it's a chorus of yawns sprinkled with stretching. A chorus of yawns sprinkled with stretching. There's no tea. The way for breakfast we draw to the kitchen. These ones, they just yawn and they move on. And how do they get water for washing their faces? So a can of water is passed around, and everyone cups a handful and splashes on their faces. And that is now bathing. And at this point, it shows that they lack basics such as water for bathing. Now there's something else. The way they stash away the can that they use for the water and all the other valuables, they keep them under the concrete abutment of the bridge. They have no home. The other challenge is homeless. So they live under a bridge. And according to them, this is a real precious real estate. It keeps them warm, away from the rain, and so they appreciate. And once or some cold, but still, it means that it is very rough on them. They have even labeled it. They have called that underside of the bridge NW for Neighbourhood Watch, and of course, it's not free for everyone. So even on the streets, you have to be smart to learn to survive. Now, apart from this, now that I mentioned there's no water, we have issues of sanitation. So as they walk to town, these three, Elias, Lazarus, and Omagano, they're always on a mission to get food for the 5 of them. So as they go for the walk in town, they walk slowly. It's very early in the morning and they have to start early before the sun is up. But they walk slowly because they do not want to sweat, so that they would have a stench. A stench is a bad smell. And according to the writer, people can tolerate somebody in tattered, brown, or dirty clothing, but they cannot tolerate somebody who is smelly, that such a person is despised. So this is an issue. They ensure they walk slowly so they don't sweat to produce that stench, because they have not showered. They only washed their faces. There's still another challenge, lack of proper food. They eat food that is almost decaying. And where do they get this food? They get it from the bins outside restaurants. And sometimes they go to these restaurants and the kitchen workers give them some food. But this food is not the ordinary food that you buy in a cave. It is potatoes with broken skins. We have a number of that on page 76. Mangoes which dimple at the slightest pressure. And we also have wrinkled carrots. So they go for those products that they don't need. And sometimes when they're generous enough, they give them the leftovers of last night. So this time round, they're given half-eaten burgers, chips drowning in sauce, salads picked clean or feta, and that means that it's not fresh food, but they need to survive. So they eat this, and they love going to these bins behind the restaurants because they say they are overflowing, but they have to arrive there early because when the sun comes up, they can easily start rotting. So they have to be there to get that food in time. We also have other issues such as sickness. We have the sickness. Elias has a racking cough, and this racking cough is so serious that when he pulls out the gunk from his chest, sometimes it has blood in it. According to Elias, blood is part of life, so it's not really something that scares him. But again, if somebody coughs blood, it means it's serious, and we don't see him getting any medical attention. We had an issue with poor clothing. As they go out, you're told what Omagano wears, a spaghetti strap top. A spaghetti strap top, nipples sometimes showing their topography. It's that serious. It means the clothes are not in good condition. We also have something about, is it Silas, the youngest? Martin walks behind Silas, but something is wrong with Martin's clothes. On page 78, we are told he has to pull his baggy trousers up every couple of steps. So again, that highlights the point on poor clothing they have to go through on their daily survival. We also have them going through every bin. There's the story of Elias and Lazarus when they met before, and they would search every bin in the suburbs. They had blisters on their feet and holes in their shoes. So this means it was really tough on them, and poverty can be dehumanizing, and we can see that in the kind of life they led. We also had issues to do with malnutrition. They suffer malnutrition. We have Omagano, her frame thinned and stripped of fat. That means whatever they're eating is not really helping to improve his health. Now they also get these other items that they use that may be unhygienic. Silas and Martin look for these essentials: discarded blankets, mattresses, rent clothing, usable shoes, broken crates, and trolleys and toothpaste tubes that are worth a squeeze. They have been squeezed until whatever remains is so little, and that tells you that getting the basics for them is an issue. So that was on page 77. But then again, we go through the life of Lazarus and Elias when they started, and they would go through every bin, and there's this issue of finding disgusting things, things that any other normal person would run away from and would not even go to that bin the next day. They would find, they say when you go through the bins, you should be able to find, ready to find shit. You know what shit means. Huh? Old food, used condoms, women's things with blood on them. It's that bad. It's really disgusting. And they say this is not bad. Even a dead dog, a dead person is not so bad. But they say one day they found a baby wrapped in newspapers, and to them that is so evil, because a dead baby, they say that is something else. That is so evil. That is according to Lazarus. And they said they stopped going to poor people's homes because that is what they find there. And so they decided not to go there. Other issues involve crime on the streets and killings. They have their friend Amos, who was once murdered when they went out to drink. Amos had two problems. He had actually three. He had his tongue, his drink, and his guts. And whenever he was drunk, he could not control his tongue. So he said something that really annoyed somebody, and that person slashed a knife across his stomach, back and forth. That is the description we have here. The knife flashed quickly in and out, and then slashed across. It was a very serious injury, and Amos fell. And of course they ran. They all ran because a dead body has to be explained. The police harassment comes in here. So another issue they have is they get harassed by the police. So the police looked for them, and it says they ask hard-booted questions. And if you're innocent, they kick the hardest. So they're suffering in the hands of the police. We also have them being questioned, and they said the questioning is a very painful one. There's a lot of police brutality there. By the time the police were done with them, they had swollen eyes. I'm looking at page 81, the second last paragraph. Swollen eyes, 3 broken ribs, a pair of limbs that took days to heal. So that is police brutality, and they suffered a lot in the hands of the police. Now, in these towns, apart from the street people, we have people who are idle and liars, and they talk about them. They sit by the roadside at Klein and Hook, and they're hoping to paint a room, fix a window, install a sink, or lay some fire tiles. So there is an issue of lack of jobs that is coming up. Not for the street people. These ones are used to surviving without whatever means they could get. So they survive with whatever little they get. But we also address the issue of there's also the issue of hope. When you're on the streets, there's a problem about hoping for the next day. They are saying they felt hopeless, and so they'll just live for that day only. Whatever they get today, you need food, today you need shelter, today you need to take care of today. So they don't care about tomorrow. It's that bad because it's a life where you survive anyhow. But then it's not, all is not lost. There's this woman who takes care of them. And this woman is a woman in Eros, Mrs. Bizenholt, that is a German name. And this one is very kind. So you have a variety of people. So this one kind, waits for them as they pass. He gives them a tin, some cans of beans and peas, and some 3 bananas. He also gives them old clothes and jerseys, whenever it is cold. Even gives them a scissors to cut their hair. She even gives them the scissors. This is a very caring woman, and they look forward to passing by that Eros estate every Sunday because they know she's going to be there. And but they know they have to keep on fighting, and they're saying the street will always be there for them, and they survive on the streets. So generally focus a lot on this life on the streets, the struggles to survive, and how they have to be smart in order to provide their needs and to move on in life. So let's keep that in mind as we read Neighbourhood Watch again. Focus a lot on the small details I've given you, and whichever question that comes on our paper 3, we should be able to answer it. Thank you.